Word on the street is that disabled workers are less happy in the workplace than they were in 2023 and arguably before. Let's get to it. All right, gang. So according to a 2024 survey issued by MetLife US Employee Benefits Trend, it's a study that they do every year, disabled employees are less satisfied and happy in the workplace than they were in 2023. And some of the stats are pretty startling. So let's get to some of them. Among the report's most glaring findings, holistic well-being among disabled employees declined 18% year over year, while it increased by 3% for other workers that do not identify as being disabled. That's huge. So the general pop increased by 3% in population from 2023 to 2024, but the disabled community decreased by 18% in their satisfaction levels. Those numbers they were alarming to me. Employee happiness overall for that demographic for disabled employees decreased by 9%. And in folks who don't identify as disabled, it increased by 3% as well. So what is this telling us? It's telling us that our disabled workforce are struggling, all right? And it's real for them. And we need to pay attention to what they've got going on. There is a belief that the primary culprit for this dissatisfaction is the return to work policies that exist. And I mean, there's a lot of criticism out there about the return to office. And I think I said return to work, but it's return to office because we've been working, right? So it's the return to office policies. And what I want folks to know is this: return to office policies are being activated in nearly every single employer in the US of A. It doesn't mean that we cannot accommodate our coworkers who have significant disabilities, like a disability. We should still be having the interactive conversation, and that's what it's called, an interactive conversation when a person needs an accommodation. Those things can still happen, and maybe that accommodation is work from home, or at least some level of working from home for folks who have particularly physical disabilities. The most underemployed demographic in the United States of America, and I have said this before on a Word on the Street, I would say arguably the world, but I don't have the data to support the world, is those folks who have a physical disability. So people who are in a wheelchair, people who are deaf, folks who are blind. But when folks were able to work from home during COVID and our response to COVID, it allowed people to apply for positions, compete for positions, work from home, have all of the supports that they need in order to be successful in the role and thrive. Why are we taking away these people's opportunities from being able to contribute to the workforce and earn a living wage? That shouldn't be the goal with return to office policies, right? It should not be to completely remove people's access to employment. And so what I'm telling you is this: if you do have an opportunity for people to work from home and they need an accommodation because they have a physical disability that precludes them from working from home, or even an invisible disability that prevents them from being able to work in the office, you should continue to have the conversation with them. You should place on your job descriptions, on these, openings that you're campaigning and marketing for, that you are willing to accommodate folks who do have a visible or invisible disability. You can share with people that you are a safe space for them to come and thrive and be held to high expectations. Sometimes folks think that folks with disabilities, when you have a disabled employee, that means that they don't work at the same level as a person who does not identify as having a disability. And I would say you're wrong. So shake some of these assumptions and biases that we have about folks with disabilities. Figure out how you can accommodate people who can't necessarily or physically come into the office every single day, but can still meaningfully contribute to your work ecosystem. And think outside the box, all right? That's my call to action. Think outside the box, because folks are suffering in silence, and we should try to interrupt that pattern. So until next time, I'll see you around, and think about this demographic differently than perhaps you have in the past.